Okay, hello everybody. Thank you for joining for the today webinar, How to Buy for a Limited. Today's topic is about visualize your design in V-Way 5. In this session, we are so glad to have our V-Way expert, Mr. Han Xin from KO Group, to be our speaker today. Today's session will be hosted in English. You may also register the Cantonese session that will be scheduled 2 weeks later on 29th of September. In any time, if you have any question or feedback, please share it in the QA field or the chat box. Just a kind note that you can access the bottom of the window menu. We will respond to you in an appropriate time or in the QA session in the end of the presentation. In today's webinar, we will not only give you an update on how is the latest version of V-Way 5, we also introduce the new products called KO Cosmo and KO Vantage. They are a 3D content collection and a real-time ray trace rendering tool that enhance your design visualization workflows and rendering quality. Before we get started, please allow us to have a brief introduction of ourselves for the Limited. Our company has been established since 1993, over 38 years experience, where we focusing serving the Hong Kong customer in AEC and product design industries. We work with the talented partner over the world to provide the latest and smartest software solution to the Hong Kong user. Feel free to get in touch with us if you have any inquiry on these products. And today, it's our honor to work with Kelco together to deliver a V-Way webinar to Hong Kong users. It's also great that you will have Mr. Han Xin, the product specialist from Kelco, to be our speaker today. He's a very experienced user of V-Way, actively share his knowledge and on using V-Way and rendering solution to the Chinese-speaking users. Thank you very much for his support to the event today. So now let me introduce Mr. Han Xin. Thank you.
Hello.
Hey, Hans, yes, it's your turn. Thank you. Yes, thanks, Hans. We can see your sharing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's a great honor to be here. And welcome to our webinar. I'm very excited to walk you guys through all of the great new features that now in V-Ray for SketchUp, Chaos Vantage, and Chaos Cosmos. Over the following part of this webinar, we are going to talk about some pretty amazing stuff. First, we are introducing real-time visualization throughout the entire design process with V-Ray Vision. We've got a new feature that are going to light your scene automatically, and it's called Light Generator. And we made improvements on our lighting system, and we also made some improvements to our material system. And now you can add randomness to your material to add an extra realism to it. And now you can easily add a new layer to create a counterline effect to make some concept architecture image very quickly. And the light mix feature is very exciting. I will show you in this webinar, and you can tweak the light color and the light intensity after you have finished your rendering, and you don't have to re-render. You can just tweak any of the light and any of the color of the light. Okay, and after that, I'm going to introduce what is Chaos Cosmos. It's actually our asset library, and all of the assets in it is drag and drop, easy to use, and optimized for every V-Ray product. And Chaos Vantage is a real-time ray tracer, and it's amazing. I will show you in this webinar. And after that, we will have a Q&A session. So feel free to share your ideas or questions during the webinar. Okay, let's get started. We all know that SketchUp, a very intuitive 3D modeling software, and the V-Ray can take any design and sort of bring it to life. Now I'm just run you through some kinds of projects that you may working on. Maybe you're doing interior design, like a bathroom or kitchen or home office, or some houses, or some large-scale projects. Really, SketchUp and V-Ray can turn it into a full realized work of art. It's just like a photograph. V-Ray is a photoreal renderer, and I have a lot of people asked about what is rendering, and I always answer that it's just like taking photos of something that don't exist. But when we look at the ways that people are using rendering technology, we often get into a design process that takes the most of our time, maybe most of it, and maybe it would take we spend, for example, we spend 80% of our time in design process, and 20% with rendering. What if we can bring some real-time visualization experience to that 80%, where you are constantly design and then render? The thing is that we want to make sure that we have the full spectrum covered, and there wasn't a gap between what you didn't design and what you did in render. And so with V-Ray 5 for SketchUp, we are introducing this. It's a continuous spectrum covered, so where you can have real time all the time and the rendering at any time. That means we're introducing real-time experience during the whole design and the visualizing experience process. And at any time, if you want to make a photoreal render, you can stop there and switch to V-Ray and get a photoreal image. So the entire process of visualization is fluid from start to finish. So one of the most exciting new features in V-Ray for SketchUp is called Vision. V-Ray Vision is a fully real-time visualization system. Normally, when you're looking at your SketchUp model, it looks like this. It's not quite realistic, and with V-Ray Vision, now you can see this. It looks much better with all your textures, with all your lighting, all in real time. And then when you are ready to render a photoreal image, you can take it from this to that next level of photorealism with V-Ray. Let's just switch back and forth. This one is real-time render with vision, and this one is the final render, photorealistic V-Ray rendering. Okay. And here in this video, you can see how V-Ray vision works. Now you have a SketchUp model on the left, and on the right is the viewport of V-Ray vision. It's all live linked, so any operations on the left will reflect on the right. You can build your model, and it will be rendered in real time on the right window. And you can create some walls. You can, add some materials. So that is real time all the time. Everything you do is all in real time. You can see the result with your lighting and the shader and textures. Of course, you can add in some entourage like trees, bushes, tables, people, and this one is great. You can even, change the direction of your sunlighting, and you can switch your environment background. You can use another HDRI. Now I switch to night scene. And the most exciting thing is this. You can just directly walk in your scene. You can explore it. It's all rendered in real time. Imagine you have your project finished and you already have your entourage, your lighting, and you can just walk in your scene. And it's all rendered in real time like this. This is V-Ray vision. And this one is, actually it's one of my favorite feature in V-Ray 5 for SketchUp. It's called light generator. It will like lighting your scenes automatically and magically. And it's a very interesting feature. I will show you how to use it. Here you can see the panel of our V-Ray light gen. And you can choose from it the exterior render or interior render. It depends on your projects. For example, we're doing an exterior architectural visualization. So we choose this upper part. And then down here, we have some parameters. You can choose the sun and sky system. It's a built-in lighting system in V-Ray. And you can choose the second one, HDRI mode. And down here, we have unique styles. Like now, we have about 35 different HDRI backgrounds. So that means if you have already finished your SketchUp model, you have your project designed, but you have completely no idea about how to render it, how to light the scene, what kind of lighting system you want to use. You can just use this automatically light generator to choose an exterior render mode and choose maybe I want to switch from different sky backgrounds, like from 35 different backgrounds. And each of the sky background, we want to rotate it 3 times. And I want to see all of the result of your current scene. And you can just click generate variations, and then you will got all the thumbnails like this. Here's a pre-recorded lab demo. I'll show you in the video. Here you can see I already have this model, and I don't know how to render it. I have no idea. yeah, and I don't know how to use V-Ray. I'm a new user. I don't know how to render. I don't know how to set up the lights. It doesn't matter. You just choose exterior and choose maybe 35 different sky backgrounds. And yeah, I want to choose how many times I want to rotate the sky background. And then here, it shows here I will get 600 different thumbnails. And I click render. And V-Ray will automatically generate these 600 thumbnails in a relatively very short of time. It's rendering very fast because it's just small thumbnails. And you can save all of this result as a preset. You can load it later. And now I have loaded the pre-rendered thumbnails. I think this one is great. So I double click on this small thumbnail, and then all of the parameters are imported directly into V-Ray. So now we have this right exposure value, the right angle of our HDRI sky background, and you just need to select what kind of quality you want for your final image. So here I select high, and I can choose, I want to make like a bigger image. I want to do a final render. Then I just simply click render. You don't need to know how to use V-Ray. You don't need to know nothing about the concept of exposure, the concept of HDRI lighting, and V-Ray light generator have already do this for you automatically. I can choose another thumbnail, double click on it, and render again. It's just like that. It's really convenient and fast. You can imagine before when you don't have this feature, when you want to lighten your scene, you have no idea. You need to find a sky. You need to find your HDRI library and switch to different HDRI files and rotate it manually and test. Click render again. Not satisfied. Switch to another one. It it takes a lot of time, and this light generator do this for you very quick, very fast. Okay, the next feature is called randomization tools. When you are rendering a photorealistic image, the details is very important. You can see here, we have this floor rendered with no randomization. It looks like this. And then I will add some randomization to the floor texture. It just randomly offset the texture. You can see the difference. It's all the same. It's repeating. And I just need to add some uh, automatically offset of this texture. Now it looks natural. And I can add some randomization to the brightness of this floor texture. And it goes like this. So this randomization feature can add realism to your render. And here is another interesting feature. It's called stochastic tiling. I will show you what is this. You can see here on this sofa, the leather material texture is repeating itself. You can see clearly it's in these grades one by one. And you just need to check on the stochastic tiling, which is a random tiling feature, and it will automatically rotate and scale and patch these texture, blend them together to remove this repeating effect. It looks like this. It's much better without the seams between each of the tile. So this is a new feature. You do not need to set anything. You just turn on this feature, and it will blend these texture seams together. The next feature I want to show you, I want to do a demo on my own desktop. It's called contour line feature. Now here I have this scene, and I want to clean up the buffer. Okay. Here I want to do a quick render of the scene I have. You can see it's just a small building model, and it's just a handmade model. And now I want to add some contour lines to this house. And first thing I need to do is to pick the material on the wall. So I use the SketchUp feature. With this eyedropper, I click on this wall here. And now I have picked our material. It's called subsurface scattering. It's a 3S material. And in the material parameter, I click this little plus icon to add one attribute. I will choose contour line. It's a completely new feature in Vray 5. And now I can choose a color of this contour line. Maybe a white line. Maybe the width is 3 pixels wide. Okay. Now I'll click render again. You can see with just this one layer, I create this concept architectural visualization image. You can use it in your diagram. You can use it to highlight any of the parts of your project. And you can switch to another color like this and render again. Actually, I will use this feature. It's called the region render. I will do a compare. So this part will be in right lines. And also, if you don't want to, tweaking your materials individually, you can just override a new material to the whole image. Let me show you how to do it. For example, I want to override all the materials in our scene and to turn this into a contour line effect. So I can create a material which is gray and with a contour line in white. And in this gear icon, I can choose from material override dropdown and turn this on and choose to use this material called over to override the whole material. When this turned on, then I click render again. You can see the whole model becomes a gray model with a highlighted white contour line. So a photorealistic rendering just turn into a concept diagram. It's a very convenient feature in Vray 5. And this one, this light mix is actually a quite exciting new feature in Vir 5. Everyone love everyone loves about it, and everyone is talking about this feature for a very long time. Personally, it is also one of my favorite feature, and I will show you how to use that. Okay, here I have a bathroom scene like this. You can see this is the SketchUp scene. And I have already adding all the lights and all the materials. And I want to do a final render. But before I click the render button, I will add an extra rendering elements to this scene. Talking about rendering elements is actually the different features, the different specs in your image, and we can also add some special render elements to the scene to achieve different effect. And here, I will right-click on this list and finding this one called Light Mix. It's already added in our scene. Okay, then I'll click Render and wait for 3 minutes to get the final render. I've already done that. You can see it on the screen. It's our final render of this bathroom SketchUp model. Okay, what is light mix? You can see here on the right panel, I will left click on this one called source light mix. It's actually the render elements we just added before. And you can see we have all the lights listed here, and I can actually disable all of the lights. Okay, all the lights is turned off, so it's completely dark. We cannot see anything in our scene. And I will turn it on one by one. It's a Viridorm light. It's our blue sky background. It's our environment lighting outside our window. And these 3 lights is this strip lights in our scene behind the mirror or under our, and it's inside our wardrobe. It's the top light. And this the rest of the lights. Okay. So you can turn on and off any of the light after you have finished your rendering. And you don't need to re-render again. You don't need to, before, when we don't have light mix feature, you see, oh, I want to turn off this light, or I want to turn off this light. You have to render again, but now you don't. And I want to switch a color of this light. I want to, make a red light, or I want to make it a warm. I want to make it cold. Now you can, I will tweak the parameter of this light. It's called strip light 2, and I will click on this color swatch. It will bring up our palette. And now, in our color picker, in our palette, you can see here we have this color temperature slider. The unit is in K, it's actually Kelvin. I've slided to some lower color temperature. As we all know, with the color temperature around 3000, it's a warm color lighting. It's very accurate. Okay, say I want to bring up the intensity because I think it's dimmer than I thought. So I can turn on this intensity like 2 times, 3 times, 5 times actually. Oh, it's too bright. Let's turn it down. You can see you can change any of the lights, the color of it, the intensity of it after you have finished your rendering. You just need to add this that makes render elements before you click the final render button. It's a great new feature in Viri 5, and it completely changed the workflow before. Before if you want to make a great render, if you want to make perfect lighting, you have to to test it once and once again. You have to spend a lot of time testing it. And now we can just simply add some white light in your scene. It's all in white. You can tweak and adjust the color you like after you have finished your rendering. So it's really convenient. It's a huge time saver, and it's new in Viri 5. Okay, now I'm going to introduce Chaos Cosmos. It's actually our asset library. It's like an asset browser. You can, oh, sorry, here. You can click the thumbnail, and the first time you click on any of the assets, it will download from our online library, and you only need to download it once. And after you have downloaded the asset, you can drag and drop it into your scene, just like this. For example, here I have an empty room. I want to add some sofa. Just click on the sofa you like and drag it into your SketchUp scene, just like this. You can rotate, and actually you can change the color of the materials. Here is real-time visualization using Viri Vision, and it's not photorealistic, but you'll get ideas of the lighting and the materials. You click merge, and it will bring up all of the material attached on these assets, and you can switch to another material, or you can select the specific material and tweak their parameters to change the color or the bumpiness, the texture, tiling, or something. And now this is a photoreal final render using Viri. Okay, here's another video. It's a pre-recorded demo. Actually, I recorded on my own computer, and you can see here, I have this empty scene. Imagine you have just finished your architectural design, and you have your project done. But if you want to do a render, you just click the render button, and the whole thing is empty. It's ugly, and you cannot use this as your final render. You need to add some entourage into the scene, but before, when I want to add some trees and like tables and people in our SketchUp projects, I need to have my own library. It's not very convenient. I need to download and have an archive of my own assets. I have to buy them online. I have to search them. But now we have this Chaos Cosmos. It's built in our Vue 5 for SketchUp, and you can just click on that icon. Okay, you can see the icon is like this. It's like a palette. You can just click it on your toolbar, and it will bring up the Chaos Cosmos window. Sorry, I replay. I hit replay it again, and yeah, it will bring up our Chaos Cosmos window. The icon button looks like this on your toolbar. And now you can see all of the categories. We have furniture, accessories, lighting, vegetation, and we have this tag system. For example, you can, when you are building an interior design of your office, you can just click on the office tag and it will list all the related assets for you, all the things you needed when you are building an office interior scene. Yeah, now I click on office tag. You can see we have people, small accessories or table or chairs. It's a really great asset manager. And we can choose from different vegetations, from trees, plants, and flowers. I want to download this tree, so I only need to click it once. It will start downloading, and you can see the thumbnails of the details of this asset. All these assets comes from really great content providers. I drag this tree and drop it into our scene, and you can see that we all know that in SketchUp viewport we cannot use super complex models like trees with all of your leaves. It will easily bring up like millions and millions of triangles. We have optimized this. If you drag a tree from our Vue Cosmos, and we have already optimized the model, it just looks like this simple, but you can see the silhouette of the tree. You can see exactly how big is the tree, and you can place it, scale it, or rotate it. And then when you click the render button, it will use the proxy system to render a full detailed tree for you. So imagine if you have downloaded some tree assets from the website. When you do the proxy workflow and import it into your scene, it's not optimized like this. Maybe it will be a very big tree model, or it will be a very simplified. You cannot tell the shape of the tree. Maybe it's just a box. Maybe it's just with the tree trunks, but with no leaves. But now we have built this silhouette of each of the plant. And now I will add some people, and I turn on show downloaded only. I have already downloaded 3 people, and now I'm gonna need a new one, and I will use this one in our scene and rotate it. Okay, After you have decorated your scene, you can use this feature. I turn on all of the layers. I will use the render button to preview all of this. But the better way of previewing is using the V-revision feature. You can see here, I click and launch the V-revision. It only takes a few seconds to transfer the whole SketchUp model with these Cosmos assets into a real-time rendering scene. It's all in just a few seconds, and you can see. Actually, we all know that SketchUp had its own built-in animation feature. If you have more than 2 animation tabs, you can easily create a SketchUp animation using these 2 different camera shots. And V-revision will automatically detect we have an animation sequence in this SketchUp model file, and it will show a play bar like this. You can see on the bottom. Now you can preview the SketchUp animation, and you can export this animation. Just click Export Animation and choose the location to save your sequence and click on Export. And now it's rendering each of the frame. Actually, now it's rendering. I think we have rendered, some of you have rendered an animation before, but each one frame is actually one image. It usually takes several minutes to render, but in V-revision, because it's a real-time renderer and it's very fast, it only takes about maybe just more than 1 second to export each one frame. I can show you. It's all recorded in real time. You can see how fast it is to exporting each of the frame. Here, I just clicked export, and you can see I'm exporting one image after another. It's just in 1 second for each frame or less than 1 second. And now I can combine all of the frame sequence together to make this video. Here is just a short video of this sequence I just exported. It's not in high resolution because it's just for the preview purpose. But you can see just a few minutes before, we have this completely empty project scene, and I just adding some furnitures and trees in it, and now I have this video. It only takes a few minutes to do this. Okay. So next, I will introduce our
Vantage. Welcome to Chaos Vantage.
Chaos Vantage. It's a real-time ray tracer. It's not like V-revision. There's a huge difference between Chaos Vantage and V-revision. I will explain. So these two software are all in real time. It's all real-time renderer, but V-revision is a real-time scene. It's for preview purpose. It's a real-time rasterizer. It's just like a game engine. It's pretty fast, but it's not photoreal. And Chaos Vantage is completely different. It's a real-time retracer.
Welcome to Chaos Vantage.
It has the potential to render photoreal image, and it works on NVIDIA RTX video cards, GPU, and it's also pretty fast. It's all in real time, but the most important thing is retracing. Retracing means all of the reflection is correct. So what is the advantage of our Chaos Vantage? Well,
Even the most
Chaos Vantage is a standalone real-time retracer, and you can import huge scene into Chaos Vantage. It can easily handle millions and trillions of triangles. And you can see the quality, the reflection, the sunlight. You can switch different HDRI background, and it will render in real time and show your animations. You can explore in your scene, and you can work in your own project. The quality is much better than Visual Vision, and it's also very fast. You can adjust the materials and tweak the colors, and it will live link with your 3ds Max, Viri for 3ds Max. Unfortunately, we don't have live link feature in Viri for SketchUp now, but you can export your scene into a VR scene file and drop your VR scene file into this standalone retracer and get the same result. I will show you in the next demo. Okay, now this the technical requirements of Chaos Vantage. It do have some special system requirements. It requires an NVIDIA RTX GPU. You do need this RTX feature to enjoy this standalone real-time retracer. Okay, now back to our demo again. You can see this this is the scene that I used before, and now I will click on export. Click on this asset. Oh, sorry. Click on this asset editor and choose this button to export the whole content as a Viri scene file. Choose a location and click export. And now, here you can see this is the VR scene file I just exported from our SketchUp. And now I double click on this icon to launch this standalone Vantage. And now I'll drag and drop our VR scene file into the window and click open. And now I have load the information into Chaos Vantage. This is our scene. The first step is to adjust the exposure value of the scene because it's a little bit darker at the beginning. And it also automatically imported our animation sequence. So I drag on this slide bar to preview our animation. And you can click this to explore your scene freely. It's just like you can use ASWD to walk around in your own project. And here is the big difference between Visual Vision and Chaos Vantage, the retracing effect. You can see here I have a glass table in the center of our image. I'm looking at it. You can see this is a glass material. Since this is completely retracing, you can see the reflection of this cup. And actually, you can see the right refraction of this glass. And you can see the highlight reflection of our sun. The sun is behind us. It's completely out of our screen, but we can still see the contribution of our sun highlight. That's the power of ray tracing. Actually, the power of real-time ray tracing. Now, with several seconds converging, we get this very clear and realistic preview of our scene. And anytime you want to make a, photoreal render, you can switch back to V-Ray engine and click Final Render button. Okay. And Chaos Vantage can use some LUT files to tweak the color, to adjust the color in post-processing. I can, hover my mouse over these LUT file names. And you can see here, I turn on LUT and I can choose different LUT preset in the drop-down menu. It will change the color of it. I'm satisfied with this color correction, and now I can bring down the LUT amount to 0, means turn off, and I can choose the color correction strength I want. This is a great feature using LUT. All right. So this is time to introduce the V-Ray collection. With the launch of V-Ray 5, we've also introduced a new way for everyone to get the entire collection of the entire suite of V-Ray tools. Not only does it include all of the V-Ray tools for Max, for Maya, for SketchUp, for Revit, for Rhino, you name it. It also includes Phoenix for fluid simulations, the Chaos scans for incredibly realistic scanned materials, Chaos Vantage for real-time retracing. It's great for scene exploration. And then the V-Ray collection also comes with some Chaos Cloud credits for whenever you need to do some simple and fast cloud rendering. So if you are interested in, you want to learn more about it, maybe you're using a couple of different V-Ray renderers in your workflow. For example, actually, my background is architectural design, and usually I will use V-Ray for Sketch, V-Ray for Rhino, and V-Ray for Revit at the same time. So with this V-Ray collection, you do not need to buy 3 different licenses. You just need to buy this one, and it contains all of the products, V-Ray products. And yeah, the V-Ray collection is really a great way to add to your creative toolkit. All right, I guess this is all of my presentation. And now we can switch to our Q&A session. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Han, for the sharing. I think everybody now is very inspired of how much more we can have on our design workflow and how much easier on using that. Okay, so it is on the Q&A session now. Let me share the screen instead. Okay, we already have a couple questions in our Q&A field. So anybody do you have any question, feel free to ask there. All right, so let's go on the third question. It is about using the graphic card. So the question is, will it be any extra feature or better result if we get RTX graphic card? So Han, do you have any advice to us?
Yeah. This is great. Actually, talking about Chaos Vintage, you have to use an RTX graphic card. But talking about V-Ray, we have special optimization for NVIDIA RTX graphic card. So if you do have an RTX, you can get extra speed boost with your high-end GPU. Whenever you're using V-Ray or V-Revision or all of your V-Ray products, we have a special optimization for that kind of card.
Okay, thank
so
you.
It's not like an extra feature, but you will definitely get an extra speed.
Okay, I see. Thank you for your sharing. So we have another question. It's also related to the graphic policy. The question is, what is the difference between the NVIDIA AI and V-Ray denoiser? Which one is better?
Yeah, that's a pretty great question. I want to explain it. Actually, I want to show it on my screen. Can I share my
Sure,
screen
yes, please
again?
share.
Yeah. I just need to show the different options on our very panel. Okay, share my screen, and just okay. Here on my screen, you can actually have different denoiser. When you want to do a final render, you can turn this switch on, and you can see different denoiser. Actually, in the latest version, we have this in Intel Open Image. These two are all AI denoiser, but I'll talk about difference later. So when you want to do a final render, it's highly recommended using this V-Ray denoiser because it won't create any artifacts. And if you are adding different render elements together, like lighting and the reflection and the specular, and you click final render, after the rendering, it will denoise with this official V-Ray denoiser, and it won't create any artifacts. You can combine these elements later in your composition software like Photoshop, like Nuke or something. It will add together and patch back the beauty asset. It's like you can have this RGB color layer back with these different render elements, but with other AI denoiser, you cannot have this feature. You cannot have all the different layers come back, combine back again. And the advantages of AI denoiser, just like NVIDIA AI or Open Image AI, it's very fast. It's great for the preview when you are using progressive rendering. So when you're using these two, you better switch on progressive rendering and turn this not at the end. You can set very often or often. So when you click render, like this, let me show you. Let me test. Actually, I want to use rapid. You can see it happens just like that. But the result is not very accurate. You can see these curvy edges of the shadow, but you get the whole idea of your scene without any noise. So it's great for preview. But if it do have some artifacts and some details may you can spot some wrong details, but it's great for these interactive preview. But when you want to do final render, it's always good to switch back to V-Ray. Never use NVIDIA AI or Open Image AI for the final render.
Thank you,
Okay.
Han, for sharing. And also thanks for the attendant asking this question. It's a very helpful tips. So while we are waiting for more questions to come, I could like everybody to have a little favor to us to put in a short survey. You can see survey just pop up in your window. It's about only 6 questions we have to fill in. So if you have more questions, don't feel free to put it in the QA field. We appreciate you can tell us how about your feeling about this webinar, and your valuable feedback will be very helpful for us on our future webinar arrangement and planning. Okay, so maybe we have a little over one here. So thank you very much for your time during the webinar today. We thank you for Han for his sharing. I think it's very helpful and let's understand how it's the latest feature and the UI of V-Way and other new KL products. The webinar record will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. The URL link will be sent to everybody by email later on this week. I also ask you to follow our social media channel, including Facebook and LinkedIn as well, to get the more updated news about our upcoming webinar and events, and also get the update of the product we are carrying. All right, so after this webinar, you feel free to contact us by email at customer.services@florida.com.hk. We appreciate you can get in touch with us. So thank you again for joining the webinar today. We really appreciate your being here. So see you next time and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Hans. Really appreciate your sharing today.
Thank you.